Well, today let us place the skull on the cervical spine. First of all, let us understand the atlas. This is the inner boundary of the atlas. Here is the posterior arch with the posterior tubercle, and here is the anterior arch with the anterior tubercle. And here are the two transverse processes. Here are the occipital condyles. Condyles in the atlas or the articular facets for the atlanto-occipital joint. And here you have the foramen of the vertebral artery. Now, here is the attachment of the posterior atlanto-occipital membrane, which closes the space. And here is the attachment of the anterior atlanto-occipital membrane. Atlanto, atlas to occiput. Here is a ligament which is called as the transverse ligament, and the odontoid process of the axis is placed here. So it is on this odontoid process of the axis. Odontoid process of the axis that the atlas can rotate in right or left, saying no. But it is on the axis of the atlanto-occipital, these are the sockets, the atlanto-occipital joint, that the head can go for in tilt forward, flexes or extends, and this is the yes axis. So these are the two movements that the atlanto-occipital joint, atlanto-occipital joint permits yes, and atlanto-axial joint permits no. Now, another very important thing about this posterior atlanto-occipital membrane is that it passes the vertebral artery. Vertebral artery is coming from below, pierces the atlanto-occipital membrane around the condyle and goes into the foramen magnum. So this side also goes into the foramen magnum. Behind this is the spinal cord, and you have the anterior and posterior roots of the spinal cord, the dorsal rami of the roots, the dorsal and ventral rami. The dorsal rami form the greater and lesser occipital nerves. Now we'll place some muscles here also. So, from the spinous process of the atlas to the occiput is rectus capitis posterior minor. And from the spinous process of the axis below, this is the axis below, and this axis also has an arch, it also has a transverse process, but its body contains the odontoid. So from the transverse process of the axis arises the rectus capitis posterior major, and that's placed somewhere here. It's coming up and getting attached to the occiput. Now from this transverse process of the axis going to the transverse process of the, from the spinous process of the posterior tubercle of the axis, second vertebra, going to this transverse process of the axis is inferior oblique, and from here going to the occiput is superior oblique. So rectus capitis posterior major and minor inferior oblique and superior oblique form a triangle which is called as the suboccipital triangle. Okay, so this is the suboccipital triangle. Its roof is formed by three muscles: semispinalis, splenius, and longissimus capitis. And on this side lies the trapezius, and on this side the clavicular, the occipital head of sternocleidomastoid. And this is the trapezius. The three layers of muscles: trapezius, sternocleidomastoid, semispinalis, splenius, and longissimus capitis, and then the suboccipital triangle formed medially by the rectus capitis, posterior minor and major, and superior oblique and inferior oblique. So this is the movement, and this is the placement of the muscles that extend the occiput. All are attached posteriorly, so they will extend the occiput at the atlanto-occipital joint. Let us try to place a picture here which shows you layer by layer so we'll show you layer by layer now. This is the trapezius. Here is the sternocleidomastoid, the first layer over. You see that this is the supranuchal line, and this is the apex of the posterior triangle. This triangle apex is here. Then you have removed the trapezius, and you see the semispinalis, the splenius, and the longissimus capitis. Then you will remove this also. Okay. So we'll paste the second picture. Place the second picture here. So here we have added the second picture. You have taken off the semispinalis, splenius, and longissimus capitis. So here is the rectus capitis posterior minor from the spinous process of the first to the inferior nuchal line. From the spinous process of the second to the inferior nuchal line. This is rectus capitis posterior major. It's longer, so it's major. So this is the medial boundary of the suboccipital triangle. Now from the second to the transverse process of the atlas is the inferior oblique, and from the transverse process of the inferior oblique to the inferior nuchal line is the superior oblique. So this is the suboccipital triangle. There are two nerves which wind around the inferior oblique, the lesser and the greater occipital nerves. And here you see the vertebral artery piercing the foramen transversorium, passing through the foramen transversorium, arching backwards across the occipital condyle and going through the atlanto-occipital membrane into the spinal canal and then into the foramen magnum. So this is the suboccipital triangle that you see, covered by semispinalis, splenius, longissimus, and the third layer is trapezius and sternocleidomastoid. So this is up to the suboccipital triangle. The muscles of the cervical spine are divided into extensors. We have covered the extensors. First layer, trapezius and sternomastoid. Second layer, semispinalis, splenius and longissimus capitis. Third layer forming the suboccipital triangle, rectus capitis posterior major and minor. medial wall, inferior oblique inferior wall, and superior oblique lateral wall. So we place these. Well, let's finish with the extensors. The flexors would be connecting the cervical spine to the foramen magnum or around it. Then from body to body, from body to transverse process, from body to first rib and second rib, and from the transverse process to the first and the second rib, the scapula and the spine of scapula and the clavicle. So the body or the arch of the atlas to the foramen magnum, we have covered the rectus capitis posterior major and minor, but there is rectus capitis anterior and lateralis too. The body to body is longismus cervicis. Then there is a longismus capitis which goes from the transverse process to the body, causing the rotation movement. Then we have the muscles arising from the transverse process and attaching to the first rib, the scalenus anterior and the scalenus medius, to the second rib, the scalenus posterior, then to the superior border of the scapula, the levator scapulae, and then the spine of the scapula and the clavicle. The spine of the scapula is trapezius, and the clavicle is clavicular head of sternocleidomastoid. So these muscles we'll show you next time.